They are.
I'll take care of it. What do you need? Elevation?
Lateral? I got elevation. Legitimate. All right. I'm ready. Is Kuwait TV ready?
Good evening. We present the 8 o'clock news from Kuwait Television. In tonight's main points, His Highness the Emir receives telephone calls from a number of Arab leaders following the explosions which occurred in Kuwait today. The Emiri audiences. His Highness the Emir sends a cable of congratulations to the President of Kenya. His Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister says, Kuwait Emir government and people fiercely condemn the criminal aggression against 2 embassies and a number of public buildings in the country. His Highness warns that the government would take tough measures against the criminals who utilize the toleration of our country. The Minister of State issues a statement about the explosions which claimed 2 lives, wounded 54 people, and caused considerable property damage. And reports from Tunis indicate that the PLO chairman and his loyalist forces will leave Tripoli next Thursday. His Highness the Emir was called over the telephone today by His Majesty King Fahd bin Abdul Aziz of Saudi Arabia, the Emir of Bahrain, His Highness Sheikh Isa bin Salman Al Khalifa, His Excellency President Abdullah Saleh of the Yemeni Arab Republic, His Excellency President Saddam Hussein of Iraq, the Emir of Qatar, His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Hamad Al Thani, the United Arab Emirates President, His Highness Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, following the explosions which took place at a number of localities in Kuwait. His Highness emphasized to them that Kuwait people and government stood firm versus terrorists which sought to undermine our secure and stable country. His Highness the Emir received an audience at 9 o'clock this morning, the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs, Abdul Aziz Hussein, who introduced to His Highness a number of participants in the 3rd International Symposium on the History of Arab Sciences on the occasion of holding the meeting in Kuwait. The audience was attended by the Secretary General of the National Council for Culture, Arts and Letters, Ahmed Mshari Al-Adwani.
Oh, right. Bahrain.
Everything's tranquil.
There's an HH in the Emir.
What's funny was
At 9:30, His Highness granted audience to the Interior Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Mohammed Haroon, who delivered to His Highness a message from His Excellency the Pakistani President, General Mohammed Zia al-Haq. The audience was attended by the Minister of Social Affairs and Labor and Minister of Housing, Hamid Isa al-Rajaib, and Pakistan's Ambassador to Kuwait. His Highness the Emir has sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the Kenyan President on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Sheikh Saad Al Abdullah Salim Al Sabah has announced that Kuwait Emir government and people fiercely condemn the criminal aggressions which took place this morning against 2 embassies and a number of public buildings in the country. His Highness said that the criminal attacks were aimed at the security and stability of our peaceful country, which embraced all Arabs and Muslims and all honorable people from all over the world, as well as at innocent people, were carried out by cowards and scoundrels and will not pass unpunished. His Highness added if the culprits or those behind them believed that they could, through such criminal acts, pressure Kuwait to abandon its just and correct course, they are erroneous and suffering from illusion. His Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister pledged Kuwait will, God willing, stick to its course which it willingly chooses because it stemmed from the convictions of its people who asserted their steadfastness versus challenges and aggressions. His Highness said Kuwait in its entirety would stand firm against culprits who wanted to undermine the country and its people and would do all sacrifices for the sake of preserving the dignity of our homeland as handed over to us by our predecessors. This is the responsibility of our generation, which we will not be lenient in shouldering it. His Highness added, we emphasize to all that the government would take the toughest measures against these criminals and sinister people and would rid the country of all suspects who utilize the toleration of our country. The government will also take all deterrent measures that ensures the security and stability of our beloved country, so it remains an oasis of security for all people living on its good soil.
The good soil.
His Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister Sheikh Saad Abdullah Salam Sabah was called over the telephone today by Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince, Deputy Premier and Chief of the National Guard, His Royal Highness Prince Abdullah ibn Abdul Aziz, over the explosions aimed at a number of localities in Kuwait this morning. His Highness was earlier called by Bahrain's Premier, His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Salman Al Khalifa, and Jordan's Crown Prince Hassan bin Talal. All of them were assured that Kuwait people and government stood firmly versus criminals who sought to undermine our country's security and stability. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Mohammed Yusuf Al-Adsani, has expressed confidence that today's explosions in Kuwait would provide a motive for citizens to close ranks behind the government in order to put an end to such incidents. In an interview with the Kuwait news agency, Mr. Al-Sani said that such explosions should not be an opportunity for spreading rumors. He added, we have far-reaching confidence in our security organs and in the government's ability to handle these incidents. The Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs, Abdulaziz Hussain, said several explosions took place today at the US Embassy, the French Embassy, and the International Airport Tower. 2 people were killed and 54 wounded in the blast, which also caused property damage. Mr. Hussain added that the blasts also targeted an oil center, the electricity control room, and a residential area in the Bidr suburb. The 3 last explosions resulted in human or material losses. A number of suspects had been arrested. Mr. Abdulaziz said that the cars used in this morning's bomb explosions were in the custody of the authorities and that their owners had been traced. He said security forces were undertaking the necessary precautions to reach those accused of complicity in order to preserve the country's security and peace and to protect Kuwait from criminals. He added that a number of suspects had been arrested. The emergency meeting was also attended by the National Assembly Speaker Mohammed Yusuf Al-Adsani, and it is still in session. The Cabinet urged all citizens to cooperate with security forces to help them carry out their duties and cautioned against rumors or unconfirmed news reports, adding that the government would release all information as it became available. The Kuwait news agency quoted eyewitnesses as saying a truck loaded with explosives broke into the US Embassy gate and exploded inside the building. The witnesses said that the blast devastated the facade of the building administration section. Fire brigades and ambulances rushed to the scene to extinguish fire and rush injured people to hospital. The Kuwait news agency said that the Deputy Premier, Foreign and Information Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber and the Interior Minister Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber and other security officials arrived at the scene to supervise rescue operations.
Nice film.
Oh, give me a break.
Oh, there it is. Oh, boy.
That whole building is down.
It's all down.
Not the whole building, just half of it.
That part you're looking at is
Yeah,
down.
okay, but this is the whole building, it has another wing, right?
Part of it is blown out.
Is there another bomb come in and knock it
There's a
down?
Hilton. Everybody's BMWs are intact.
Look at that stuff there. Is that debris from the explosion?
I think it's probably shook down from the Hilton.
Oh, yeah, you're right, look.
by and picked up pieces of gold.